tonight's lesson of 1.6, subtracting integers, students will be able to learn how to subtract integers in various word problems and expressions. In earth science, Kissimmee is an underwater volcano in the Caribbean Sea. Eruptions have caused the volcano to grow. In 1962, the summit elevation of Kissimmee was negative 235 meters. In 2002, the summit elevation was negative 182 meters. By how many meters did the elevation of the volcano change? Now we are going to learn today in subtracting integers how you can find the difference of two integers using additive inverses and inverse operation as shown below for the difference. So yesterday in our lesson for adding integers, we discussed the additive inverses and inverse operation. So we're going to discuss how you can quickly do 5 minus negative 2 and the steps that you need to do that. There are two different ways that terms that you can use. If you see a subtraction of integers, you can say in your head, same, change, where you keep the first integer the same, change the second part of it, which changes it to a plus sign, and then change this to a positive 2. So now you have same, change, and the answer to that example was 7. Another way of learning it, or keeping it in your mind, is to subtract integers. To subtract an integer, you add its opposite. So in our example 1, we have 4 minus 10. So if we said subtracting of integers is the same as adding its opposite, we are going to change the subtraction to a plus and the positive 10 to a negative 10. Now notice they are different signs, so you subtract 10 minus 4, which is 6, and you're taking the larger sign, which is negative. In our example, second example that we have negative 2 minus negative 9. Now, you can either say in your head, same, change. You change the negative to a plus, and then changes negative to a positive. So you have same, change. Or you can add the opposite. Notice that they are different signs. 9 minus 2 is 7. And it will be a positive 7 because 9 is larger than 2. In our next example, we're going to use subtracting by evaluating variable expressions. We're given the example to evaluate the expression when x is negative 9. So if we have x, changing it to negative 9 minus negative 40, we put the negative 40 in parentheses to avoid confusion. So we are now going to add the opposite. Now notice the signs are different, so you take 9 from 40, which is 31, and it will be a positive because 40 is larger than the 9. In B, in example B, 7 minus, and x is negative 9. I'm going to put this in parentheses just to avoid confusion. I'm going to add the opposite. 7 plus 9 is 16. Again, if you like the phrase of same, change, please use that. Now, in these examples, we're going to find the difference. So, we have negative 7 adding the opposite. Negative 7 plus negative 4 equals negative 11. Example 2, negative 1 plus 13, different signs. 13 minus 1 is 12, and it will be a positive. Now we're going to evaluate the expression when y is equal to negative 14. So in number 1, we will have negative 14 minus 10, negative 14, adding the opposite. Negative 14 plus negative 10 is negative 24. In our example 2, negative 9 minus y. Y is negative 14. We are going to add the opposite. 14 minus 9 is 5, and it will be a positive. Now we're going to be evaluating change. Changes that you'll have in this certain concept we'll be using. You can use a subtraction to find the change in a variable quantity, such as elevation or temperature. So in subtracting integers, what you will notice the word problems mostly being is in a change in elevation or a change in temperature. So let's, in example 3, we're going to we'll be evaluating change. So we're going to go back to our initial word problem that we introduced the lesson with. To answer the question about the change in elevation of the volcano Kikum Jenny, you can subtract the elevation in 1962 from the elevation in 2002. So you take the elevation where it ends, which is in 2002, you subtract the elevation from the starting point. So where the elevation is now, subtract where it was. So the elevation in 2002 was negative 182. Then we subtract the elevation in 1962, which was negative 235. So then we add the opposite. So now we have negative 182 plus 35. Notice that they're different, so you subtract, and your final answer will be 53 meters. Now we're going to use the same technique to find the change in temperature. So as we find the change in temperature, you're going to begin your equation with the ending temperature, and you're going to subtract the starting temperature. So in number 1, from 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, we're going to take the ending temperature, which is 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and subtract the subtract the starting temperature, ending temperature, subtract the starting temperature. So we'll have negative 10 minus 32, negative 10, add the opposite, negative 10 plus negative 32 is negative 42. Your final answer will be negative 42 degrees Fahrenheit is the change in temperature from 32 degrees to negative 10. All right, let's do example number 2. We again are going to use the ending temperature, which is negative 80 degrees. We're going to subtract the starting temperature, which is negative 45. I'll put this in parentheses again to avoid confusion. We are now going to add the opposite. Notice that the signs are different, so we're going to subtract. 80 minus 45 is 35. Negative, because 80 is greater than 45, your final answer will be negative 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, we're going to do another word problem using this same formula. After 4 years of eruptions, an underwater volcano off the coast of Iceland broke through the ocean surface. The eruptions began 130 meters below sea level. The volcano became the island of Surtsey with an elevation of 174 meters. What was the change in elevation? So you're going to again use the ending point then subtracting the starting point in your word problems. And you will do this in your practice and from now on. So we'll notice in our word problem the information was it began 130 meters below sea level and it became 174 meters. So we're going to determine the change in elevation by taking the ending of 174 and subtracting where it began, which was 130 degrees below sea level. So when we take that, it'll be 174, add the opposite. Your answer will be 304 meters. That is the change in the elevation for that volcano. Now you have practice problems on page 36, numbers 1 through 11. Please refer to your notes, look at the formulas that we have, and if you do not understand it, please remember just to come see me during help session or sometime in the morning.